Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast. We're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other. Aww. I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
I'm Zach Wright.
And I'm Jordan Smearman. Hello.
And today, we're talking about the grid.
Sorry. I had to cough.
Today we're talking about Tron and Tron Legacy. Ryan, you challenged us to watch both of them. Do you want to give us the brief synopsis and the idea of why you challenged us to watch this?
I want to interrupt already.
The idea why I actually decided to challenge this is because there's a new ride at Disney that certain people has come to my attention. They did not not greatly enjoy, but just said it was all right.
It looks like it sucks.
Having lived in Florida, I can give my full review in it.
And
full
also,
review, it sucks.
I don't think they had ever watched either one of the movies. I assume they hadn't watched either one of the movies. Turns out they only hadn't watched the original, like me. So I said, let's watch both.
And I've seen both before already, so it wasn't a challenge for me. Anyway, Zach, you want to interrupt?
That's why I want to interrupt earlier. Kevin, Ryan, I want to applaud you. This was a great challenge. 10 out of 10. Like one of your best challenges you recommended to us.
Oh, thank you.
Because it was super easy to get through.
It was the best nap ever.
No. I'm not being
kidding.
sarcastic in the slightest. I really appreciated this. It's 2 movies, easy, done. Don't have to watch 25 episodes of something.
Of a 20-minute show?
Yep, I'd rather do this again. 100%.
Yeah,
Wow.
especially like even though like the first Tron, which we will talk about later about how it's kind of hard to get into, at least it's only 90 minutes long.
Well, not even hard to get into. It's just I have to commit to one sitting where it's like, all right, I have 2 sittings I have to get through. Whereas if I'm watching like a 25 episodes thing, it's like, all right, well, I can watch 3 here, 3 tomorrow, 5 later. Like, I appreciated the one-time commitment to this. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll just go fuck myself for next challenge, I guess.
What'd you choose?
Uh-oh.
You'll find out later.
Oh, you didn't do the one I told you to?
We're going to watch Bluey?
We should watch Bluey. 54
Oh,
episodes, 1 season,
Oh, you
6
didn't
minutes
bring it
apiece.
Let's do
No.
it.
All right, Kevin, what are your general thoughts about Tron?
Oh boy, where do I begin? First off, Tron is basically my Star Wars. I was introduced to Tron by watching Tron Legacy when it came out in theaters, and I absolutely loved it. And then I watched the original, and then at that time, Tron Uprising was airing on Disney XD, and so I was eating it up, man.
You were drinking that
Eating
Kool-Aid.
that ISO poo tank.
But also why I kind of compare it to Star Wars too is that like how Star Wars started off with a New Hope. Like it's kind of hokey. It's hard to introduce modern audiences to its origin. But every time I watch it, it just absolutely rocks my world every time. So it makes sense that Disney barely wants to support this.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Actually, no, I'm not surprised. It's Disney.
Yeah. I think it is one of the most interesting IPs that Disney has, and they do nothing with it. But yeah, the main reason, I've basically watched and played everything Tron except for 2 pieces of media, which is Tron Evolution, which is the game that's on PS3 and Xbox 360, and the recent release Tron Identity, which is a visual novel that I just haven't gotten to yet.
And Tron Let's Go Run in Florida.
Yes, and the Tron ride in Florida, which looks like it sucks. But
It's fun.
It's actually not that bad.
It's fun.
It's all right.
It's overhyped. Don't get me wrong. It's overhyped as fuck. It's fine. It's a decent roller coaster.
Tron fans can't have anything nice. However, but Tron fans do have one thing nice. That is the Tron Legacy pinball table. I played it on my boss's virtual pinball table, and ooh, good table. Good table.
All right, nerd. Moving on. Right.
See, I'm surprised. Maybe all of us started with Tron Legacy. That's what I'm assuming is.
We all did, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a lot of it went over my head when I was a kid because it was the first movie I went to go see by myself with my friends. That kind of contradicts itself. Let me rephrase. It was the first movie I went to go see without my parents, and I just got to go see it by myself go see it with my friends, and it was just us. But I was watching it and I'm like, all right, I kind of understand everything that's going on. And what I like about Tron Legacy is that you don't have to watch the first. Like, it helps if you watch the first movie. You can pretty much jump into this without having watched the first movie and kind of understand most of it. So,
having watched both, I think I prefer to have only watched Tron Legacy.
Well, yeah, I also wanted to say that Tron Legacy almost like it's a sequel technically, but it's also a reboot. Because it has this, the story is basically the same as the first one. It's just with different contexts, a fresh coat of paint, and all that stuff, which I will.
It's a way better
dive
Force
into.
Awakens.
Yeah. Yes, that's essentially it.
yeah, but I was like, I also did watch Tron Uprising when it came out. I'm mad that it got canceled.
Same.
It left it on a cliffhanger and everything. I'm gonna assume that cliffhanger.
Fuck.
Yeah, it did. I was like, it left it on a cliffhanger, and like the last thing you see is Clue showing up. So I'm like, all right, well, at least we know kind of what happens after it, kind of, somewhat. But until now, my only experience with the original Tron movie was in Kingdom Hearts 2, which that world be wild. It's actually pretty interesting. They got the voice actor for whoever it is, Alan, really well.
Oh,
Bruce Boxelix or whatever.
Yeah, like the person I don't think they have him exactly, but they do have someone who sounds almost exactly like him. It could be him. I don't know. Let's find out.
All right.
You guys
well, Ryan's figuring it out. Who wants to go next? Zach.
So I was younger. I'd seen Tron Legacy, first one I'd watched. I never saw the original Tron. I also as well watched Tron Uprising, and that shit fucks.
Mm-hmm.
There were times I'd be like at 5 a.m. before school just to watch it because or I couldn't sleep, be up till 2 a.m. watching it because that's like the rerun slots they had on Disney XD at the time. I would never catch the new episodes at like 8 o'clock or whatever. I'd always catch the reruns.
I'm not sure if you remember this, but between the time it was canceled on Disney XD to the launch of Disney Plus, you can actually watch all the episodes on YouTube because it was in a weird state where like there was no copyright infringement.
Yeah, and now it's on Disney Plus, I believe. I think. Right?
Yeah, it is on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I like the aesthetic of Tron. I like everything about Tron. The first movie is but we'll get into that later.
Also, yes, he did voice him in Kingdom Hearts 2. He also voiced him in Tron Uprising, which I did not know. So
yes, I knew that. Yeah,
he just stuck with the voice. All right, cool. Jordan.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat as everyone else, so I watched Tron Legacy first. Actually, I believe my mom got it from the library and just brought it home because she was curious about it. And I just watched it with her. So I remembered bits and pieces. I think I also remember Disney 365 did a little like thing about it too in between. So that's why I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I kind of remember seeing little parts of it, and I thought the world was really cool and things like that. But that's all I really remembered from it. But after kind of watching both movies, I do like the overall concepts and the world building that we got. But it definitely has its flaws, which I know we'll get into later. But honestly, like I don't know. I was one of those kids where I liked the spy movies and the hacking movies and thinking about all of that. So now that I've watched these, I think if I would have watched them when I was younger, I definitely would have really liked them more.
Alrighty then.
All right.
Moving on to the first Tron. What are our thoughts and opinions? Who wants to go first?
Jordan, you go first.
Okay. So, to be honest with you, my best friend Hannah, who's been on the show and who probably helped Ryan suggest this, which I know she did because she loves Tron. She tried to explain this to me when she was down here to ride the ride. And even I was confused then. And even after watching both movies, I'm like, even after watching the first movie, I was still confused now.
So I have more questions than answers.
Yes. Because I was confused throughout the entire thing because I felt like we just kind of got thrown right into it.
Yep.
And honestly, I was a little bored like throughout the entire movie. Like I felt like we got like I said, already got thrown into it with no knowledge of what was happening. Like I understand that's kind of what happened with what's his name? Jeff Bridges' character?
Kevin Flynn.
There we go, Flynn. I kind of thought that like I understand like we're kind of in the same boat as him. Like he doesn't know what's going on either. But like I don't know. Even before that, I was confused as fuck.
No,
I
got
okay.
you.
Okay. And I'm sure this like my complaint is not about the CGI. Like, honestly, I understand it was groundbreaking and like to see this when it first came out, I'm sure it was cool as hell. But like, I didn't even realize Clue was Jeff Bridges until Zach told me. And I didn't even realize who Tron was modeled after until Zach told me. I was like, we got thrown right into that first place. And I was like, oh, that's Flynn. That's Flynn's face. Oh, okay. Like I was kind of starting to get it.
Do you not watch with subtitles?
No, we did.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
I don't know. I was distracted by what was the pretty colors, I guess. I don't know. Like honestly, it wasn't bad, but I was just expecting more.
Well,
from
no,
it.
I think you're right to some extent, where it's just like Clue is not a big fucking deal at all in the first movie. He is not. He
is a program that dies in the beginning of the movie.
Correct. Yeah. So you just kind of look at me like, oh, like that kind of looks like Jeff Bridges, and then Jeff Bridges pops up like, oh, that's actually Jeff Bridges. So you just your mind goes like, oh, yeah.
Right. It's because Clue is not supposed to be a big thing. Like Clue becomes a big thing because of Tron Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically to introduce the concept that like there are programs and there are the program's users, and the actors represent both.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not introduced very well.
No.
The beginning of the original Tron movie is rough. Like it starts off on a wrong foot, I think. And then like the thing is like with most audiences, you need to like start in a way where they can get into it. You have to have a good beginning so that way they can get through like a bad middle.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bad beginning with a decent middle, but because of the bad beginning, it makes it like it loses a lot of people like right away.
It's like getting thrown the world's slowest roller coaster. You're waiting for it to get cool, and it just kind of is like, all right, well, what's gonna happen? We're waiting for the drop. Oh, there's no drop. Oh, okay. Oh, here's a left turn. Woo!
And I'll be honest, I wasn't here for the romance part either. I was very confused.
No.
The kiss at the end was very weird.
No,
I was like, what?
The climax does not work at all.
It's just Jeff Bridges being Jeff Bridges, being a hot motherfucker. That's all
I feel like this is his.
It doesn't like I understand what they were going for in terms of narrative. Does not work in terms of character, does not work in terms of story, does not work in anything.
Okay.
He straight up cheats on his best friend. Straight up.
The program too. It's not even her. It's a program.
Yeah.
But that's even worse because it's fantasy.
It's weird.
Yeah, like I said, it does not work at all. They like the reason why my reasoning, my understanding is that they like Jeff Bridges' character is basically giving her a kiss goodbye to that relationship of the past, but still does not work.
Doesn't translate.
Okay, but before I want to go into more into reasons why it's hard to get into, but before I get into that, Zach, go ahead and give us your thoughts on the original Tron.
This movie sucks. This is such a bad movie.
You are wrong, but go on.
I see the subtext themes you mentioned already, Kevin, before we started recording. I see it. Yeah, sure, whatever. It doesn't excuse how fucking slow and how terribly paced this movie is. All right, like the pacing of A New Hope. Don't get me wrong, it's bad. Like it's just jumps. It's saved in the edit, right? Even the fucking editing couldn't save the original Tron. Okay, it is so abysmal. I'm so bored, ready to fall asleep, and that sucks because it should be so cool. It should be so. Oh, I'm into it. This is awesome. The effects look decent for the '80s. This is the first computer generated graphic movie ever. Like that's so cool. But why does it fucking suck?
Okay. So to kind of break it down a little bit, this movie, the original Tron, does not have a lot of camera movements. The camera.
There's no sound design. Moves. There's no music. You're just sitting hearing pew, pew.
Correct.
Pew. I'm like, this fucking is terrible.
Yes. Did you see that from my notes, or did you come up with that yourself?
Both. Because I forgot about it.
Yes. No. So there's a complete lack of sound design. There's like almost no score. And when it's integrated, it's not integrated very well. And also, but yes, the camera barely moves. There's so many still shots in this movie, and they're all wide shots too. So it's hard to feel connected with the characters and into the world, because it is basically just like, it has to be that still wide shot for the effect to work. Because basically this was, basically green screen, but they don't have like motion tracking or anything like that. So like every shot cannot move, except for like there were some sets that were done practically, so they could do a little bit of camera movement. But like there's no interesting angles to get us into the mindset of the characters as well. Like we're so far away from them. but it's also like it's almost like the camera's always like at eye level to a certain degree, where it's like there's no interesting angle up, there's no interesting angle down. It's all just kind of like you are like a fly on the wall that always remains at human eye level. So it just,
and the plot is escape. And at that like pace, those camera angles, everything's set up. Like, yes, I understand that's limitations for the camera because of the graphics, right? I understand that.
Well, the plot
just
is
makes it such a slog.
I thought it was supposed to be like a spy movie. Like
no, it's just escape.
Break in, hack that shit, and then come out with what.
That's what they were trying to do.
Okay.
My defense of the plot though is that the plot, even in Tron Legacy, is modeled after video game narratives at the time. So in terms of the Tron in 1982, this was before Nintendo had a home console. So it was Atari and arcade games. So the plot is super thin, but it's to represent like the feeling of a video game narrative in movie form. So same thing in Tron Legacy. By the time in 2011, Tron Legacy, video games started to become a little bit more cinematic, like with Uncharted and all that on the PS3 era. So like it creates a more cinematic video game experience. But the plot is still go here, do this fight, go here, do this fight. It's just basically just recreating the feeling of playing video games in movie form.
Man, if you want a cinematic video game, I got something for you. It's called The Mandalorian. That is just a fucking video game come to life. That is all it is.
You mean how they say just go do the side quest, go do the side quest, go do the side
That's
quest?
all Mandalorian is.
Yeah, but with Mandalorian, it's unintentional. With Mandalorian, it's unintentional.
Correct.
Which makes
I don't
it
even
bad.
think Tron's intentional.
No, Tron is intentional because there's a pattern to it between the original and the new movie. So it is completely intentional.
I need sources. I need to set in an interview.
All right, I'll look for it.
I don't believe this is
it.
intentional.
I'll look for it, man. But yes, but other than that, on the technical side of things, yes, it is very hard to get people to watch and be immersed into the original Tron because like it's also like the evolution of film as a language too. Like like we didn't really have in 1982, we didn't really have a lot of interesting camera techniques or cuts or stuff like that. People were still figuring out what do movies say and how do they say it. Like we have people like Spielberg and Scorsese were still very early in their careers at that time. Yeah. They're still like everything is still being developed. It's not like nowadays since 2010, like there becomes with the digital cameras, like it becomes easier to do different kinds of camera movements. You can take more technical risks on how you convey a scene or an emotion. But not saying that like it is completely inexcused in the original Tron, but because there are still like movies by then that knows how to use close-ups and stuff like that. But it's still like that language barrier because of just time in general. So that's why it's like I'm not surprised you and Jordan did not get into it. But like it's not bad. It's just you kind of have to work your way to it. That's my analysis. Have a good time. I'm going to sleep, I guess. I don't know.
Ryan, you're up.
Well, you guys know me. I have very different opinions on movies and all that kind of stuff. I love this. I love the first Tron movie. Except for the parts that in the real world, where it does feel like the 80s. This movie definitely feels like it feels like something I would expect in the early 2000s. Maybe like late 1990s, if anything. Because I was actually genuinely surprised that the graphics, like how they worked and everything, like the ship scene, the light cycles. I was impressed. Like I was like, this came out before Return of the Jedi. How does this look better in ways? They kept the casting down. So
Return of the Jedi doesn't have CGI, does it?
I don't remember it at all.
I don't think
other
so.
Than other than like lightsabers, which I don't think is really CGI.
It's not technically CGI. It's something else.
Yeah, so I'm over here like, well, how the hell?
The first CGI in Star Wars was prequels.
Yeah, it was prequels, and I'm like, this looks so much better. I'm like, I'm enjoying this very much. I think watching Legacy as a kid definitely helped me enjoy it more, per se, because I was very much for one, seeing like Clue isn't important in this movie. But I was very much like, that's Clue? I was like, oh, so he tried to make him better, and Clue ended up much worse. And stuff like that, like seeing how like the technology that they had at the time and how it like advances into the future. So like especially like seeing the ship scenes, like I was like, wow, this is what we have right now, like in the 80s, and this is what's gonna look like in the future. Like I think it's cool to see that transition phase. And then also playing Kingdom Hearts 2 helped me understand this a little bit more because I kind of already knew the plot, or at least like I got the plot of, hey, you're supposed to be the MCP, there's Sark, etc. Like I kind of got that idea already from playing that, so I was like, all right, this is just this come to life.
Wait, Ryan.
Feels like it's yeah.
Was the Tron world in Kingdom Hearts 2, was that more Tron or Tron Legacy based?
It's more Tron. So they bring
Tron.
they do
Yeah, because
they
Tron
do,
Legacy wasn't out at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out.
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts 2 came out like
in
PlayStation 2, so like
2005.
yeah.
Okay.
It's 2005. Yeah, so Legacy comes into Dream Drop Distance. That's when they do that, and they do like actually have the revelation, like, oh, Rensler is Tron. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Tron Legacy. But yeah, they have that whole reveal, and Sora's like, what the hell? My friend is a psychopath now, or whatever. But like my only gripe with it is that, you know, editing is weird in this movie because it seems like a lot of older movies had that, especially older sci-fi movies had the weird editing thing.
I mean, it's just hard to do when you're physically cutting frames, so it's hard to get the timing right.
It was that, and then also the fact that it just ends, like it just.
Oh yeah, it's classic Hollywood quick resolution in and out. So
You guys
Like,
aren't
literally-
upselling this movie well at all. There is no upselling. You're like, yeah, I guess it does kind of just end. Like,
no.
They literally just like, hey, we stopped the MCP program. All right,
we
cool.
did it.
And then,
Yay. All right.
And then they just walk off.
Story's
and I'm like,
over.
So we're not,
I mean,
we're not gonna
he
address-
got the company, so that's all
well,
I
I mean,
needed.
like, they don't address anything. Like Alan doesn't address like, hey, you're back here, but like you're still kind of like a douchebag to me and,
And
my
you kissed
girl.
my girlfriend.
He
like-
doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't know that. That's a funny
He
part.
just
Like,
went back to work.
Alan and Lori
They let him
knew
in and went
nothing
back to
what
work.
happened. They just, to them, they just assumed that Flynn went down to the basement, typed some stuff in, printed out the information, and then gave it to the news. That is all they're assuming would happen. Meanwhile, like Flynn went through this whole digital adventure, and I'm like, wow, it's really got that vibe of, hey, nothing really changed, nothing really affected, or nothing really I don't know, like time is weird.
Mhm.
But
All right, well,
overall,
we gotta
I
move on,
enjoyed it.
because we've been
What
going.
what if Kevin Flynn got out of the grid and it became Planet of the Apes?
Oh.
All right. On that note, we're gonna take a quick break.
Hey everybody, my name is Jordan, and you've probably heard me on an episode or two, but did you know I also have a baking channel? Bluebell Bake is by the amateur baker for the amateur baker. On the channel, I'll be posting recipes, tips and tricks, and more so we can all learn to better our baking skills. You can find my channel on YouTube at Bluebell Bake, we're currently posting monthly, or on Instagram and TikTok, both at bluebell.bake. Come join our little community where no matter what happens, we keep on baking.
Don't you wish there was a pop culture review site that appealed to cinephiles, both professional and casual? Well, look no further than crprights.com. New content such as movie and TV reviews, film essays, and more are released every week by writers who crave for movies like every moviegoer craves for popcorn. CRP Rights is dedicated to making sure no one is wasting time or money where they shouldn't be. After all, you have to be able to buy your popcorn and eat it too. crprights.com. Casual reviews with purpose since 2018.
And welcome back to Committee Critics as we continue to talk about Tron. And now, Tron Legacy. What are our thoughts and opinions on it? Who wants to go
Tron
first?
Legacy fucks unabashedly. This
Mhm.
shit is so cool. It's the same fucking movie, but done right, okay?
Well, done better.
Done right. Done better, correct. 10 out of 10. Would recommend to everyone else. Has a great
It's
sound
not a 10
design.
out of
It's what I'm
10,
saying,
but
it's not a
all
10 out
right,
of 10.
man. Oh,
Daft Punk adding a sound design to it. You know what? Let's go back and let's cut Tron the first week and just put Daft Punk's score to the first Tron and see how much better it is.
No, it would. No, if it had like a score to it, I think it would be a lot better and easier to get into. And I think what's interesting though, like, because I watched these two back to back. What was interesting that I noticed in Tron Legacy was like the use of close-ups and over-the-shoulder shots that the original Tron didn't have. So, but it's like it happens so often in Tron Legacy that it feels intentional as a response to Tron. I was also like,
hey, we're sorry here.
And also, the sound design and the score. It's like there's so much emphasis put onto it that it feels like an intentional response to the original Tron.
Even the use of like IMAX, like whenever you get sucked into the grid, and it goes to that full frame. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, let's go! I love a good full frame.
Did you notice the fade to a different aspect ratio when he returned to the real world?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Like the fade to that aspect ratio, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, they did a really good job of working with the aspect ratio change from going from the IMAX cameras to like a regular cinematic camera.
Yeah, it threw me off for a second because I was like, wait, did the screen just get big?
My TV got bigger.
My only notes is aesthetic, music, acting, great. World design, incredible. Rubbery Clue, looks all right for the time. Didn't really age that well, but so didn't Luke from Book of Boba Fett, so whatever.
Cool.
That's all I got.
My note real quick is that if Tron is you, Tron Legacy is the guy she tells you not to worry about.
Correct.
You're cool in your own right. You got some charm, but the other guy, he definitely fucks.
He's way hotter.
I do think that Tron Legacy is made with love of the original film, but does improve on it in every way while still keeping the original soul intact, which I think is very impressive considering how it has a completely different visual direction than the original movie. Like, if you compare the screenshots side by side, they are like, you would not believe that they are like from the same franchise, but you watch them next to each other, you're like, yeah, this works.
Yep.
The director of the original Tron is actually one of the producers of Tron Legacy, and also had a cameo in it as well. I watched this in 3D when it came out in 2010, and it's still one of my favorite theater memories. I remember watching it with a friend and walking out of the theater saying, "I love this movie." My friend was like, "That movie sucked."
Wow.
I think the only dip in the movie is when you get to Zeus. That's I think the only dip.
Is when you get to what?
When you get to Zeus, the club,
the DJ,
club.
You know what? I just that little bit of a conversation. Yeah, I kind of zone out a little bit, but then like D-Res kicks in. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. The fight kicks in. Don't be wrong, it's awesome. But like the whole conversation, like he's like, oh, he's disobeying his dad. Like, all right, here you don't much.
It's the video game narrative. It's the video game narrative trying to like justify its story beats and missions. So
look, man, when Jeff Bridges walks in, steps on the floor, and all the lights go out, like that's come on.
All right.
How about you, Jordan?
Well,
okay.
I'll go, I guess.
All right, go ahead.
Obviously we've already talked about it, but the score is so good. I really liked it. Honestly, like I wish we got to see more of the city or grid. Like,
do I have a show for you?
Blade Runner 2049.
I wish we would have because it is basically the same story from the original Tron. Like, I still feel like there's more to the grid than what we even saw in Tron Legacy. So like, even just seeing how other programs go about their daily lives, quote unquote, I don't know what daily would be for them. Or even seeing like how a user can affect things outside the grid. Like if maybe we found someone going out and then someone just kind of pops up out of nowhere. It's because it's a new program that was just created. But like that's kind of my really only like complaint / note.
I mean, Jordan, you can just play Animal Crossing.
Jordan, have you seen Tron Uprising at all?
No, I have not. I saw the preview, like I saw the commercials for it at Disney XD, but I never watched it.
I think that if you want that kind of like seeing the other parts of the grid, then you'll probably have to watch that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great time. I will say the animation takes a little while to get used to because it is 3D animated, but it's made to look like a stop motion movements. It looks
it's
a
pretty
little
unique.
weird at first, but it definitely
pretty
finds
unique,
its
yeah.
footing.
Okay. Yeah. That's not my challenge for next time, but I will keep it.
Ryan, go ahead.
So if Tron is 4 turtles, then Legacy is those turtles that have mutated, learned ninjutsu, wear matching headbands for some reason, and are named after Renaissance artists. Because the turtles are nice to look at, but the other one looks much cooler and visually appealing. They did taking those wonky frisbee discs from the first movie, because I will say this: when I saw the identity disc for the first movie, I was like, "That is a frisbee with a spiral."
You know what's hilarious? They sell that frisbee disc at in the park with
Oh,
Tron ride.
hell yeah.
And I saw it, I was like, wait, is this supposed to be an identity disc? And then we watched Tron, I was like, oh, that's the joke. That's fucking funny. Someone at
It's just
merchandise is funny.
It's just funny to see those discs, because I'm like, wow, they really were just like, hey, what do we want to do for this? Like, we could actually make it look visually appealing,
Yeah.
but
So they sell the actual identity disc that's like a Bluetooth speaker or some shit, right? That looks like from Legacy. They also sell the frisbee, and I was like, why do they have this weird frisbee?
Mhm.
yeah. So I was like,
You
all right,
turns
I
out
can-
you were just uncultured.
Well, then I
guess,
also
yeah.
I love that in the new, and it made more sense when I'm in Kingdom Hearts 2, because when he's throwing the disc around, it zips around and is hitting everything instantly. I'm like, this isn't bouncing off at all. This looks kind of weird. And I watched the movie. I'm like, oh, that's why.
I
'Cause
like
then
how
when
they don't even hide the fact that it's a frisbee. It's because they use to scoop water in that one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when they go to Kingdom Hearts, the next one, and it's in Legacy, the discs actually do bounce off, but for the original Tron world, it just flies around and hits stuff. And I was
Mhm.
like, all right, cool. I love the fights in this. There's a moment in the movie where I kept rewinding because I was just so in awe. It's the fight between Rinsler and the first disc fight, and then when they're escaping, and I see Rinsler just pull up, and I'm like, this looks completely different from the first movie. I cannot imagine having seen Tron 1, in 1982, and then years later seeing Tron Legacy and seeing all how all of that evolved. It's one thing to see it back to back. It's a whole other thing to see it generations later.
Yeah, it's like the Tron franchise, being a Tron fan is like seeing A New Hope and then getting The Last Jedi many years after.
Whoa.
Damn, we're
Ryan
so close,
doesn't
Cody. We're so
understand, but I know
close.
Zach understands.
It would be like getting A New Hope and then getting Force Awakens, because that is essentially A New Hope remastered. Let's go with that.
Fuck, I need
And-
to say it.
No, I know I know Zach agrees with me.
My
I know
love for The
y'all-
Last Jedi, but the analogy is more akin to Force Awakens and
Yes.
A New Hope.
It is.
But
sorry.
Force Awakens isn't that good though.
But no, it's literally just the same plot. It's literally
But
the same
yes,
story.
I understand.
Exactly. We've been talking about this. Tron Legacy and Tron have the same plot, similar things.
Yeah,
literally
I
factually
know,
that.
I know, but Tron Legacy
But-
does evolve the themes a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I will say rubbery clue face was off-putting, but I put it off as, hey, he's a digital program, so that's how he's supposed to look. So
Sure.
I kinda
Okay.
just-
Cool.
Yeah,
we just accept it. But at the same time, I was like, yo, why does his face just stretch? Why does
Yeah,
it
sure.
when he's smiling?
He's fine, but Cora looks hot as shit. All right. whatever.
Olivia Wilde's breakout role.
What?
Another another note of Tron Legacy I have is that even though it's a very visual effects heavy movie, I'm always very pleased to see how much practical effects is utilized in Tron Legacy, like the sets, a lot of the costumes, and even the even just the frisbees and objects getting flown around. Like a lot of it is practical. And in camera, so which is really cool to see that VFX integration be more for the environments, which is have a nice simplistic neon design,
Mhm.
which has it aged pretty well.
Yeah, it does. All right, we gotta wrap it up. So final
Yep.
thoughts.
Final thoughts. Mine is Tron is about three things: the advancement of technology, both in story and in visual effects and CGI. Light social commentary and how the advancement of technology challenges the values of humanity, and capturing the feeling of playing video games. I really hope Tron 3 understands this. Also, my
It
current
won't.
it will not. Also, my current high score on the Tron arcade cabinet is 22,264. It's not a brag. That's not a good score. That's just my current high score.
Ryan.
I am about to start Uprising again because I do need my Tron fix. I'm actually like, this reignited my enjoyment of the series. I really hope we get more of it. Tron 3, I did not know was existing. But I do know my next Disney purchase will be an identity disc. Looks at Florida people and calendar.
Spoilers. It's not that cool. Sadly.
Oh.
Just
I
a
don't
cookie
care.
speaker.
I wanted an
There's a
identity
shit
disc.
ton of Tron merch though.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of Tron merch.
Oh.
Y'all are set for
yeah.
Christmas, let me tell you.
Yeah, your Christmas gifts already picked out.
Nice.
Just Tron.
I will say the idea of Tron is a lot cooler than it actually is. Lacey pumped a lot more life and fresh air into the franchise, so I understand why it has the cult-like following fan base it does.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I still think Tron is like one of the most interesting IPs that Disney has because there's so much
It is,
potential they could do with it, but like Disney is not interested.
It doesn't
Disney is
sell.
stupid.
Yeah, I would agree with Zach. Like, I love the concept. But not having watched Uprising yet, I feel like there is more to explore than what's actually there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, Uprising is going to change your outlook on this franchise. It's cool, but like it's not going to change anything.
It's a cool extension, yeah, but it doesn't like replace it or anything. But like, it just still shows you like there's more you could do with this concept, and it's not getting the support that it needs. So,
All right, Jordan, you pick. What's the next thing we're watching?
Well, I know we're kind of short on time, so I was gonna make you all watch the entire Twilight Saga.
oh,
But
Actually,
that was a little over 10 hours.
that's a little long.
Yeah,
It was 10 and a half hours, actually.
yeah.
Well, watch it in ×2 speed.
But no, so we are going to be watching the very first season of the Netflix original American Vandal.
Oh, I've already seen it.
Perfect.
What is that?
So it's one of my favorite Netflix originals. It's a crime mockumentary series, and the very first season is 8 episodes long, and they're like 35 minutes a piece.
It's
Wow,
so good.
it is so good.
It is amazing.
Yes,
I've actually been thinking about rewatching it lately. So
I
like,
have
this
too.
is
That's why
coming
I was
as a-
kind of thinking about it. I was like, woo.
yeah.
All right, Kevin,
All
take us
right.
out.
Thank you for you guys for listening to Committed Critics. If you want to hear the rest of our thoughts on other topics, tune into our full episode over on Patreon, linked below. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Crits, that's COMMITTED CRITS, YouTube Committed Critics, TikTok at Committed Critics, and special thanks to our current patrons: Davey Peppers from Game Mechanics, Ryan Kolakowski from Ryan Plays Drums, Andy Phillips from Andy Phillips, Jody Wright, Devin Vonderhyde, and Brandon Morales. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.